Hi everyone, I'm here to talk to you about whether you're currently maximising the value of the assets that you currently hold. As you're probably aware, it's currently a really competitive housing market. There's a lot of investors coming into the market and the competition for property is high. This means that there's reduced supply, lower returns, higher property prices and increasing tenant expectations, making it harder to get new properties to invest in. With this in mind, it's more important than ever that you make sure you're maximising the income and the value of the property you already own. So how can asset management help you? Property asset management is defined as the strategy and skill set to manage real estate property interests, to increase investment values and to reduce costs in the long term. In short, we make sure you get the best income for your properties for the lowest costs and make sure you get the best returns for the property that you hold. So, how do you know if it'll benefit you? Do you own a property? Have you got any properties with voids? Are you time poor? Are your properties in need of some refurbishment? Are you unsure if you're getting the highest rents that you could possibly get? Or are you thinking about acquiring new property in a sector that you're unsure of? All these, if you answer yes to any of these questions, then asset management could definitely be for you. So, how does it work? I'm a chartered commercial surveyor with 15 years experience in a range of different things such as lease renewals, rent reviews, lettings, sales, and I've worked with a really wide range of clients from small local landlords and tenants right up to big large investors and £1 million shopping centres. So we've negotiated deals with Zara, JD Sports, right down to smaller offices. So using this whole combined range of skills, we can put that together to ensure that your property works in the best way possible and it maximises the return and gets the best capital value if you go to remortgage it. There's different strategies you do this depending on the different types of property that you've got. So for residential, we'd look at whether you're using it for the best use. Could you do an HMO instead? Would that be worth more money? Could you do serviced accommodation if it's in the right area? It's looking at every single possible use to make sure you're getting the best rental income and there's the highest demand. Next, you'd look at if it's in a satisfactory state of repair for the target customer. So who's your target market? Is it good enough for them or is it okay for the people that you're looking at and the rents that you want to achieve? The next, I'd look at who's my competition. At the minute, I'm finding that there's a real influx of new investors coming to the market with really high spec products and there's people showing them on social media and people and tenants are just becoming more aware of what's out there. So that's something I always look at. And also, how good a job's your letting agent doing? Are they doing a good job for you? Are they managing to get you good tenants? Are they pushing the rents as far as they can? Or have you got voids? The next is managing agents. How much are the managing agents charging you? Are you getting good value for money with the repairs that they're having to do? Are they doing the best service for the best value they could give you? Marketing, again, how are they all marketing the properties? Are they doing social media? Are they just using Rightmove or Zoopla? And are they targeting the people that you want in your properties? Finally, and probably the most important, all these factors combine to look at what the valuations will be when you go to refinance. So the point is that if you go through all these and you're looking at every single one, the valuation will be as high as you possibly can be for your valuation for your remortgaging. So next, commercial. There's loads of different strategies you can do from an asset management point of view with commercial property. These don't just have to be refurbishment works, you can do loads of different things on paper as well. So again, for a property like that shown, I would look at if there are any voids, so if any of those shops or buildings above are vacant and what we could do to get some more money coming in. Could the leases be re-geared? So say one of the shops might only have a year left on its lease, and that'll affect the value of the property. So you could contact the tenants and see if before the lease expires whether you could renew and make sure that income's secured for the next 5 to 10 years without having to worry about it. You also look at whether you change the use. Can you make it a better use? Is there something that the local area is crying out for that you'll get a much better rental return for? Another thing we look at is mixed use. So that just looks like a bog standard building, but you could check that is that offices or residential above? Could you change it from one or the other? Could you turn that into serviced apartments? Could you make it an HMO? And then is there demand for these retail units? Could you make one a restaurant? And it's just how you market them and making sure that you're targeting everybody and considering every possible option to make sure your property is performing the best. Again, the costs are really important. So have you got a service charge? Is the service charge as competitive as possible? Because that'll put tenants off. Are the running costs as low as possible? So asset managers kind of assess all of this for you on your behalf. Tenant covenant's a really interesting one, and probably one of the most important things when you're doing a letting. So any valuation done by your surveyor for your commercial lending will be based largely on what the tenant covenant is. So that shop could be let for the same rent for the same lease term, but if the tenant in it has got a better track record than one of the other ones, it'll give you a better yield, so the property will worth more. So it's really important to just consider who your tenant is when you're putting a tenant in. Finally, refurbishment. Are there any refurbishment works we can do that will be worthwhile doing that you'll get a better return? So another service that an asset manager can offer you is whether you want to add to your portfolio. So if you want to add to your portfolio, you're interested in going into commercial or mixed use, but you don't know HMOs and you don't know where to start, asset managers can guide you through doing that to make sure that it reduces the risk for you. We can do market advice and run appraisals. We can also do property management and ongoing asset management. So for example, I've got a client who had a vacant nursery building in a village that has stood there for empty for ages, and we're working together with them to turn it into a serviced office block. Now they run another nursery, so they couldn't be bothered to do this, so I'm now doing it for them, and that'll make, nobody else wanted it, but nobody else had looked at doing this as an option, so now I'm setting up as a serviced office, and they will and do it all for them, so they don't have to put their time into doing it. Also, a big thing that I just thought about when I was sitting down is with a global pandemic, somebody like that would be able to help you manage your property portfolio to make sure that you're getting as much as you can in unforeseen circumstances. And that's just a recap of what the benefits are. So you can get like an edge over the competition if you're looking at buying new property, and you can find ways of adding value that other investors may not see. So you can pick it up for a lower price because you can find ways of making more money. You can add value post-completion. You can do strategic refurbishment, so you know exactly why you're refurbishing it and spending the money on. Asset managers have got great relationships with property professionals, so they know exactly what to do and get you good value for money and the best advice. It's specialist knowledge that you wouldn't normally know. It reduces the risks, and it saves you time, and it can help with ongoing management to reduce time for you. And that's about it.